Ready.
But I'm from Canada, so we have Frenches.
Oh,
Ah, okay.
okay. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to Unleash Your Free Spirit. We are so happy that you joined us today for our monthly gathering where we hear from wonderful experts on amazing topics. And my name is Judy Feldhausen. I'm your co-host, and along with Guinea Jolly, who we've been doing this for over 3 years now, just sharing how people have overcome challenges and how they did that. And so we are so happy to have you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pleasure is ours. Judy, go ahead. What a beautiful picture. Oh my goodness. I'm in awe with this woman. What a pretty face.
Absolutely. So today we have Deborah McPhee, and so Deb sent me her bio, and it was a wonderful bio, Deb. I really enjoyed your bio, but I'm going to say a couple additional words that aren't in your bio because you know Deb is a peer-reviewed author, she's a speaker, she's a business consultant, she's a coach. She has such great experience with that, but she has a specific area of expertise that she gained from personal experience. And she does such amazing work in the area of domestic violence and sexual um, harassment, even violence at work. And she's dedicating her life to teaching people really how to take care of themselves and how to remove themselves from a situation or not even get into it at all forever. And she does this in the corporate arena, but she also goes around and speaks to young people at different schools. And that to me just shows me what a heart Deb has for just really helping other people. And we are so excited to have Deb with us today. And I just want to welcome you, Deb, and I'm looking so forward to hearing from you. And you're on mute. There you
I
go.
know. Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Awesome. So go ahead, take it away.
Oh, me already? Okay.
You already.
Okay, let me see if I can screen share here a minute. Okay, can everybody see that?
It says you've
Not
started
yet.
screen
There it
sharing.
goes.
There we go. Got
Okay.
it.
So, I'm going to talk about today is everybody gets knocked down in life, right? Sometimes you need to cry. Sometimes you need to lay in bed for a day, a week, a year, whatever. But you got to get up and keep on going. The best revenge is living well and achieving more. So nothing is stronger than a woman who is determined to rebuild her life. I've had 4 flat lines in my life. I'm going to tell you about these flat lines. And every time I came back stronger with a vengeance. All right. So the first time, first flat line, everything that happens to us as adults has to do with the house we grew up in. So my parents were abusive alcoholics. They used to beat the hell out of one another. And my job as a 5-year-old, when they started fighting, was to get the 1-year-old and the 1-month-old and hide in the closet. That's a lot of responsibility for a 5-year-old child. So my dad left when I was 11. By the time I was 16, my mom kicked me out. So homeless high school kids usually fall off the wayside and fall into trouble. I started waitressing full time. So I had a full time job and I paid my own tuition at private high school and I graduated on time with my friends. So I suffered the consequences for somebody else's inappropriate behavior. My mom had a little drunken hissy fit and kicked me out, but I'm the one that had to deal with it. So right out of high school, I got married, and you guessed it, I married an abusive alcoholic because that's what I thought was normal, right? That's all I knew. So I lived with my abuser from age 17 to 32. And when I left him, I was 32 years old, no job, no money, no place to live, no education, right? I started dental assisting for $10 an hour, and my childcare was $7 an hour. Things were tight, really tight. So I started selling Mary Kay cosmetics on the weekend, and thank God for that money because that made it all possible. But again, I had to pull up. I suffer the consequences from somebody else's inappropriate behavior. He couldn't behave himself to live in a house full of children, so we had to make a decision, right? So by the time I was 40, I got into dental sales. So now I had a good job. I worked for Butler Toothbrushes. You know, when you go to the dentist and they give you a toothbrush, I sold the toothbrushes to the doctors. It was a good job with benefits, and I had a company car. I had one kid in college, two in high school. Things were just starting to calm down. What do? Oh, I married a guy who tried to kill me. Oh, so this guy, lived with him for about 3 months, and he crossed the line with my 13-year-old daughter. So I changed the locks. I got an order of protection. I filed for divorce. I had him arrested. As a mother, I did everything I was supposed to do to keep my children safe. While I was getting my house in order, he was spinning out of control. So what we know now that we didn't know 20 years ago is that's when they come to kill you. When an abuser realizes he can no longer control you, there's nothing left to do but kill you. In the United States, 3 women a day are killed by intimate partner violence. They're killed by somebody they love. Right? So he went to the west side of Chicago and hired a couple of drug dealers. And these men came in. I was kidnapped. I was with 3 men for 6 hours. So whatever you're thinking, times it by 3, and it was that bad. But I got the car keys, and I escaped, and I stole their car, and I drove myself to the police. Now, this is where you have to be able to get out of any situation yourself. A knight in shining armor is not coming to get you. You have to be able to think and know what to do next. I got to the police station. Here's the keys to the car I just stole. And they didn't believe me. And that's very common with the police. They don't believe the victim of domestic violence. So they wouldn't go arrest them. They said, well, if you still want to press charges, we'll go get them on Monday. Well, that's great. How do I keep my children alive for the next, until Monday? So I was fired from my job. So I had 1 kid in college, 2 kids in high school, no job, another flatline, right? So after the kidnapping, we all worked very hard to get better. I had some major therapy and counseling. I never wanted to be one of those women, oh, something bad happened to me, and cry the rest of my life. I wasn't going to let 6 hours of one day dictate the rest of my life. So the next job I had was better than this job. I worked for Cox Medical, and I ran the dental division for the United States and Canada, 2 countries. It was a big job, big money, lots of prestige. I was able to buy a house. Now I had 1 kid in grad school, 2 in college, house payment. Things were fine. It was great. Things were good. There was a man at that company, a factory guy. And every time I was there, the company was in a different state. So I went to visit about once a month. So every time I was there, I'd be out in the parking lot, and all of a sudden he'd be right next to me by my car. I'd be in the factory doing something. He'd be right next to me, always whispering stupid little stuff in my ear. So I went to my boss, and I said, this is really inappropriate. I don't like this guy's creepy. I don't like being around, blah, blah, blah. And so nothing happened. A month later, I go back. He's gone. Where'd he go? Oh, I don't know. He left. All right. Then they sat down and fired me. Now, there's a law now that says you cannot be fired for reporting sexual harassment, but this was 15 years ago. So I was fired from that job. Was fired for somebody else's inappropriate behavior again, right? So what do you think? And this was, what else happened in 2009? Everybody lost what? Their houses. They lost their jobs. They lost their houses. So that house was gone. Homeless once again. And then I started what my children call the decade of Deb. I learned a new sentence. No is a sentence. Do you think you can? No, I can't. Well, can you? Well, I would love to, but I am simply overcommitted this year. And I started saying no to everybody and saying yes to Deb. I was 49 years old. I was a freshman at DePaul University when I was 49 years old. I got my master's degree when I was 58 years old. Wrote a couple books on the way. Started my company right in the middle of COVID. And now I go all over the country and teach about sexual harassment prevention. I teach about domestic violence. I talk about safety at work. And this is a calling, really, because it's more than a job. It's really, I would do this whether I would get paid or not. So I work with a lot of women's shelters and police villages. You know, the police all wanted to know, how did you live? 3 women a day die. How did you not die? And so there was a lot of interviews with psychiatrists because they wanted to know, what did I do differently that I got away? So the answer was, it was pretty funny. My life was so traumatic growing up that getting kidnapped was just another Friday for me. I was so ahead of it. If they do this, I'm doing this. If they do this, I'm doing very calculated. I always have my next move. So that's the story. It's like sometimes you have to get knocked down, but you have to come back better. And if you can't come back and go to school and open a company, come back and do a load of dishes. If you can't do a load of dishes, take the cup off the table and put it in the sink. If you have to lay in bed, but put a time frame on it. I'm going to stay here for 3 days, and by Friday, I'm going to be dressed and out of the house doing something. So I've got 5 grandkids now. These are the 3 big ones. There's 2 little babies. But what if I died that day? These little girls would not have had a grandma. My girls would not have a mother. I mean, this is how serious domestic violence is, and intimate partner violence. So it's bringing awareness to people, because if you're not in the middle of it, everybody says, oh, why don't you just leave? Well, if it's generational, you can't just leave. You have to learn how to behave. And I'm very happy to say all 3 of my daughters have very good, nice husbands. So I was able to break the chain, but we did a lot of work to break that chain. And I'm also married again now for the 3rd time, but I made this guy date me for 10 years first. I always tease him. He had to go through the 10-year training period. So I, didn't want to rush into anything, want to make sure I had a good one this time. So that's my story. Sometimes you have to go through a couple of hiccups to get to where you're going. But the idea is, don't stop, because what's next is best. So that's it.
Wow. What's next is best. Oh my goodness, Deborah, you were telling the story and I was saying, it seems everything bad is following this woman. I mean, from
Right.
abusive childhood to everything. It seems one after another. I said, oh my God, is it going to stop somewhere?
Well, when you look at society, right, you look at the rich kids who were raised in great houses with wealth and went to the best colleges, and then they're interning and they get out of college and they get a job for $180,000. Oh, good for them. You think a kid coming out of a welfare house has those opportunities? No. So it's the generational, right? So it wasn't even the kidnapping that knocked me down. It was losing my house. It's like, this was like, right? I had a big job. It was big job, big money, big responsibility. I ran 2 countries worth of dental stuff. That was a real blow that they got rid of me because I said, oh, hey, this guy's kind of a creep. Right. But it's that sometimes bosses just think, get rid of them before they file a claim. Well, that's illegal now, but 15 years ago, it wasn't. So in 2019, the state of Illinois mandated now all employees have sexual harassment prevention training. And it's actually in 7 states right now. And it's going out, it's going to roll out nationally. It's in 7 states right now. So that's what I do with the business owners. That's actually where my money comes from. I get my money from the business owners, not the victims. And all the women I work with, I don't ever take money from women. So business owners hire me to work with their teams to prevent sexual harassment claims.
Well, you have been so brave, Deb, more so than most of the people that I know in life. I just am so in awe of what you've gone through and what you have accomplished, and just the bravery and the awesomeness of you. I'm just honored to know you.
Thank you.
And
but if you don't have a choice, I mean, just get up and do it. Just get, and I certainly have had my time. Oh, laying in bed. Oh, poor me. Okay, but you put a time limit on it. All right, by tomorrow at 3:00, I'm going to be shower dressed and doing something. So
awesome. And Mark, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that I'm in awe of what you went through and the way you came back stronger than ever. So I'm just in awe of it, and keep on keeping on. I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. So I do speaking events all over the place. So if anybody has a group, and I'm also I'm licensed by the state of Illinois to give the CEs. So if anybody with the license, the doctors, the lawyers, the nail techs, if you have the insurance people, real estate agents. So if there's a group of people and they all need their CEs, get me in the room. We do it all, knock it all out in an hour. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, Deborah, when you were saying that how you were able to be still alive because your mindset was, I've gone through so much. What is this? Abduction. I already know. You had, you knew in your inner strength that you have to get up and go. And I love the fact what you said, you can't keep sitting down and saying no, but you have to make a time limit. I need to get up
if you
and
need
go.
a break, take a break. But I used to have, when I was in sales, and sales is a rough business, and sometimes you just get in the car and you cry a little bit. And I had a rule that anytime I got in the car and cried, I could go to the mall and spend any cash I had in my wallet, but I couldn't charge anything. And then you go home, and then tomorrow you start all over again. So that was my sales rule. So,
Wow.
but living in your your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, right? Your sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight, and fight or flight was made to be a temporary response to get you out of a tough situation. You're not supposed to live there. And I lived there for so many. Just now, I feel like my life is starting to calm down. I said, right now, it's like, oh, my life's pretty boring now. I love it, right? It's like painfully boring, but yay, right? So you have to work, and if you're an employer, you got to take a look at your employees, because if you have an employee living in that sympathetic nervous system, where are they a victim of violent crime, or they got something going on at home, they're not giving 100% at work, you got to really take a step back and look at your employees, because you got to look at, like, if you have a good employee that has a nice home life and she answers the phone, oh, hi, welcome, now how can I, right? And they're nice to your customers, your patients, right? A lot of my patients are doctors. Or you get somebody who maybe is going through a custody battle and they're being stalked, and they're doctor's office, how can I, who needs that answer on the phone, right? So from a business owner's point of view, when I work with the owners, this is what I teach them, to look for these things when you're hiring people. You are, your company represents the 5 people that work there, right? You're most like the 5 people that you're with the most. And if you don't like your situation, get up and sit at a different table. The conversation's different.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. So true.
And the fact you finally, what I like the most about it is your granddaughters and all, generational break. You have finally, the courageous Deborah, has decided to have a break there. It's not going to be passed on from one generation to another. What
Right.
your parents did to you, what your mother let it happen, and then you fall into the same kind of a relationship. That's what they say. That's what you find it to be normal.
Right.
Your abusive husband right after high school, that's what you gravitate towards. You're right. It becomes a normal, a new normal.
And
but
the same,
I'm glad.
Same thing with the second husband, because I didn't fix it. So after that, besides living with, after the kidnapping was in 2001, I just got married a few months ago. I was single for 20 years. I mean, that was right? So you have to be very careful who you let into your circle. And, we worked real hard at getting better. And there's a thing called, first you're a victim. Oh, poor me, this bad thing happened to me. And then you're a survivor. You wake up one day, I'm not a victim of domestic violence. I'm a survivor, right? A lot of people stay there for a long time. The third level is transcendence. When you reach the transcendence level, that's when you go back and teach and coach and train and help others, bring them up to where you are.
Wow, we commend you, and we, like Mark said, I am also in awe right now. I'm thinking, oh my God, it's like that novel I read a lot of fiction books, and I'm saying it's like that fiction book, one after another. What is next going to come? Oh my God, another abusive husband, another abusive relationship, then abduction. I'm saying literally it's that chapter is what you normally
Right.
read.
And you know what? I said to somebody the other day, I've been married for about 6 months now, and it's going really well. It's a good marriage, right? I dated him for 10 years, and after 10 years, I'm like, all right, maybe we'll get married. So this man made his intentions known very early in the relationship. So he really just waited for me to be ready. So that's on his side. That's a good man that, he wasn't going to marry me if I was ready. But I sometimes, it's like I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out, because it's been years since I've had an incident. So it's like I have to I don't even know how to describe this. I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out with this marriage. So I'm not enjoying it as much as I should, but I'm aware of it, right? I'm aware of that this is my post-traumatic stress thinking, not right. So yeah. But it's like I sometimes in awe of the little things that this man does. I was like, oh yeah, because this is a normal relationship, which I've never been in my life. So I'm experiencing things for the first time that maybe other women haven't. Mm-hmm.
Dear friend, let the new normal be your real normal. We
Right.
pray for you, we hope for you, and a woman with your courage who has seen so much and the adverse side of sexual harassment, even at work. And I was surprised. I said, oh, just by mentioning it, my dear friend, your antennas are up, because you have gone through so much that any little uh, issue can be and should be brought up where you're
Right.
not feeling safe. That's what I heard you saying, that if you don't feel safe, you got to say it and got to protect yourself first, and then that through that you're protecting your family.
Right. And that's what I said. I'm getting in my car. This guy is always he's every time I was getting in and out of the car in the parking lot all by myself, because it was a big like bar. It was a pole barn, one of those big barn factory things. It's like, so that it wasn't an office building. It was, a gravel parking lot. So I'm like, I don't, every time I'm getting in my car, he's like within 3 feet of me. That I don't like that. I don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. So
Deb, you really have raised our awareness, as Guinea said. So how do people get hold of you if they have some connections in the corporate world, or maybe they know someone that is a victim of domestic violence?
Right. I'm going to put, I just threw my phone number. I threw my phone number up there. I'll throw my website and everything up there as soon as I'm done speaking, as soon as I'm done talking. Mm-hmm. But I'm located in Chicago. It's DebRaMcPhee.com is my website. And I teach all kinds. I've got about 15 classes right now that I have on the roster. I'm always building more classes. And if you have special needs for your group, I just tell me what you need and I will build a class for you. I've got a master's degree in adult education and organizational leadership. So whatever your needs are, I just build it for you.
Exceptional message, very needed, and especially for somebody, and I'm positive within our circles, we should spread it out and see. It's needed. It's needed to know.
Well, not only that, in Illinois, it's mandated.
Okay.
Every business owner is mandated to provide this training. So everybody says, oh, we had ours online. Well, you have it online. You're just teaching your employees to report you, because they put on there, oh, you have a problem, call the EEOC. And once those employees call the EEOC, they have just put their boss in the Illinois system. Now you get sued. So people that have me on the team, got a problem, you call Deb, and Deb fixes it. I fixes it before the lawyers get involved. That's what you don't stumble over boulders, you stumble over rocks. Mm-hmm. So let's clear the rocks out of the way so you don't have these little hiccups within your company. Mm-hmm. I had a couple of women call me last week. They work in a factory. A lot of my calls are factory. These women that work in factories, there's mostly men, and they're like, this guy, he just keeps staring at us and blah, blah, blah. And we were giving him the finger. I said, well, stop giving him the finger back. First of all, it's not ladylike. Second of all, you're encouraging him. Good attention, bad attention. He doesn't care. He's got your attention. ignore him, turn and look the other way. Don't give him the satisfaction of your attention, because they really don't care. When somebody gives you, when you're walking down the street and a man gives you a cat call, you're either going to turn around and say, oh, thank you, or you're going to turn around and say, hey, a-hole, right? They don't care. They have your attention, good or bad. So they're just looking for a reaction. Don't give it to them.
Great suggestion. Great suggestion. Don't react. Just respond. Take your time. Thank you, Deborah. I mean, what a great suggestion. Wow. Because reaction will always bring. It's again.
That's what they want. They want a reaction. They don't care if it's a good or bad reaction. They just want the reaction.
Great advice. Any other questions for Deb before we move forward? Comments?
Deborah was asking, you talk about sexual harassment at work and all. Is it more for women? What about men? Is there some, have you seen that also in your experience now?
Absolutely, I have. Mostly it's, but mostly it's women, but men have certainly called me too. A lot of the doctors say, well, what happens when the patients come on to you? You're the doctor. I'm like, that's absolutely a real thing, right? Especially, right? So I said, this is where you have to have an assistant in the room with you, and don't be in the room with women alone. So if you're a man, I would suggest you're going to, as a business owner, I have a lot of customers that are dentists. I was in a private office and I'm looking around and we're in there with the door shut. I said, do you bring the young women in here and shut the door? He says, oh yeah. Like, without cameras? Cameras go everywhere. If you're a business owner, you put cameras everywhere except the bathroom. That's it.
Oh my goodness. Deborah has her information in the chat, and that's what we always tell people. Create relationships. Surround yourself with those people who can be a part of your solution. Surround yourself with those people who can uplift you and tell you about your rights, and how you can lead a more stable and a happier and a safer life. Yes, that's what I'm hearing from Deborah right now. I will encourage each one of you to connect with her and check it out and see what her information is about, and how her personal experience can teach you how to be more equipped in your personal life and as well as at work. Right, Deborah?
Yeah, and I want to encourage everybody to put my phone number in your phone and put under their Deb sexual harassment, because when something happens, you have to have somebody on speed dial, and you're not going to remember what was her name, and that way if you type in sexual harassment, it'll come up. Because you want, if something happens within your company, you don't want to start Googling, what do I do? You need somebody on the speed dial, write out, this just happened, how do I handle it? Like this.
That's right. Otherwise, also, I was just thinking, it's the knowing your story, and I'm still going over the things, and I'm thinking, oh my God, because I these days I read a lot of fiction books. So I'm thinking it was literally like one chapter, another, and I said, oh my God, the chapter. But I'm very happy to read the end chapter that Deborah is finally has broken that generational abuse. I loved hearing that part. And Deborah has finally found somebody, and she's in a very stable and a happy marriage. It's great to know that, Deborah. There is something to be said about you will finally, when you change what you're looking for, that's what you're going to find. Before right. that, yeah. I think you were looking for abusive relationship. That's what you knew was the normal. And unfortunately, that's what you were getting. There are wonderful men around who are also victims many a times, and they are also looking for great partners and good women to have as their support also. So it's Judy is quiet, and Judy and me can talk about that part also. It's just that we do find what we are looking for. I've seen that happening again and again. Unfortunately, we don't realize it at that time. That time you did not know, and out of high school, what you were looking for in a man. So you were looking for somebody recreating what you had, the chaos in your life. It's not your fault, but that's what you knew. That's all that you knew.
Classic.
So
That's
you are a,
classic victim mentality, textbook victim mentality, and that's why these women. That's why you think, oh my God, the last guy beer, now this guy beer. Why doesn't she just leave? Well, because when you're in the middle of it, you don't see it, and then you
yes.
have that trauma bonding, to where you're bonded to your abuser. So a lot of psychology that we are just learning. We're still just tapping into this and learning about it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Deborah, you are a beautiful woman. May you continue flourish and shine the way you are, and may your uh, a balanced relationship and a mutual respectful relationship may help you grow and become a wiser and more successful as a business owner also, because we need to learn from your strength and your experiences. Phenomenal.